you all. We are Mike and Diana, your past president and current
2025 Cherokee Association president.
And this is Millie, the Wonder Dog. Millie.
Say hi.
Hi. She's my dog that comes to the office, and you'll see why. Oh, she has to speak too. She's going for it. And, you know, we're so proud to represent the Cherokee Association of Realtors. Last week we were in Charlotte at the state convention, and I'll tell you,
lots of fun.
Cherokee rocks it. I mean,
yeah.
It's just, we know we're special.
Yeah, no one compares to our association.
So there we go. And we know that we're special because we work so hard to serve our communities, protect private property rights, and elevate our profession. We have a lot of things coming up. I think we're going to have a mayoral candidate forum for Woodstock coming up.
Yes, looking to set the date for October 8th.
Yeah, 6 to 9 or 7 to 9 or something like that. We'll figure that out and get that news out. And that's exciting, is that we finally have enough credence with our local politicians that not only do they want to speak to us, they'll let us moderate the forum and do everything else. So It'll be a lot of fun doing that. Look for those dates. I will say, if you were at the Charlotte convention, it was great.
It was great.
If you weren't there, we'll talk about some of our big takeaways in a few minutes. But we're here for the numbers and for education so that you can help your clients make informed decisions, giving them the best, most professional information so that they can make their own decision and feel good about buying, selling, renting, whatever they want to do in the real estate world. Our median price popped up to $515. This is why we look at it. And as a trend, what we saw, remember last month it dropped to $479. I said, if this is a trend, we'll see it go lower, but I thought it was going to go higher this month.
And it did.
It went higher, and I think it's going to go higher again next month, or at least stay real close to this. And if you look year over year, our rate of appreciation has slowed way down, but we're still up this year over last year. And when you start talking $500,000 and a 2% appreciation rate, that's $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, and that's where we're at. So we'll look and see what the trend's going forward. I'll make a prediction here in a little bit. Number of sales down dramatically from our go-go years of 595, 553, 331. We did a new agent orientation, and most of the agents have never been in a market where it wasn't really good or going up in value. And those of us that remember back to the 2000 and aughts and the 7s to 2014 or 15, you know, that market may be coming. We have a number of slow months, you know, in terms of number of sales. So
I'm curious to see how the end of the year is going to wrap up with these numbers currently.
And we can make some predictions on that also, because that's what we're good at. How do we make the predictions? Well, we look at what's active, under contract, and pending. And what we can see is that we have 330 pending at $530,000, and we have 88 pending at $489. Since this outweighs this as a 4-to-1 ratio, I think we may see something close to $515, $520. Of course, these were list prices versus sales prices. And if we look at the number of sales, I can predict that they're probably not going to be super high, because we have 418, and if, you know, half of them close, if it takes 6 to 8 weeks, or 2/3 of them close, we're still in that low 300s mark. And so other things to note, our median asking price is $579, maybe a little aggressive. The average is $743. So we have a whole lot of properties over $1 million, 189 out of the 1,296. Only 26 closed in August, which gives us 8 months of remaining inventory, and there's 28 under contract and pending. So I suspect we'll see somewhere between 15 and 20 over $1 million closing. When I first moved to Cherokee County, over $1 million closing meant you got, you know, a whole herd of cattle on your large lot.
Now you're lucky to get.
Right. And then we look at the median sales price, which means half the sales were above, half the sales were below. It takes out that $3 million sale, and there's a $2.7 million sale. In fact, I'm under contract with both of those agents for significantly less. So I close on one on Friday and one on next Thursday. So those agents are doing a whole wide range of business. But this is where we get the 515 from. You know, something that's sort of interesting, over 900,000, but less than $1 million. There was only 5 closings last month. and there's 36 active. So that means there's a 7-month supply of homes. The previous 800 to 900,000, we have 79 active and 12 sales, 64 days on market. And to find the months remaining inventory, you just subtract 79 divided by 12, which is 6 point something, almost 7 months. 7 to 800,000, we have 118 active and 29 sales. 600,000 to 700,000, 157 with 35 sales. That gets us down to about a 4-month remaining inventory. 500 to 600,000, 187,000, 63 sales, which is a 3-month supply of remaining homes, which is a seller's market, not a buyer's market.
Yeah.
So, well, let me finish it. 4 to 500,000, we got 258 active, 91, 52 days on the market. 91 divided by that is less than 3 months. So a stronger seller's market.
Definitely.
300,000 to 400,000, we have 194 active, 53 sales.
4 months.
About 3-4 months of remaining inventory. At 4 months, we're starting to get into a neutral market. And under 300,000, we have 21 active homes, 12 closed, so we have less than 2 months supply, a buyer's market. 1 of these was a modular home, 10 are fixer-uppers, 7 are attached housing, and 3 were move-in ready, all of them under 900 square feet. Now, if you did the search yourself in Cherokee County, you're going to come up with 23 or 24. But there's somebody in Center, Alabama that keeps putting Cherokee, Georgia rather than Cherokee, Alabama. So you have to subtract those 3 sales.
Oh, God bless them.
From so, what does this show? How do you use this to educate your clients? Print this page out, take a screenshot, and show somebody that if they're going to list their house for $750,000, it's probably going to be on the market for 2 months. And you got a 6-month supply or 5-month supply of homes remaining, which puts it into neutral territory. And if you're over $1 million, you're definitely into a buyer's market right now. And I see more expireds. I haven't done expireds for several months. I'll try doing that next month. We'll see what percentage of those over $1 million are expiring. The Cherokee, the Georgia Association of Realtors gives you stats. Again, they're a month behind, but it supports the 480 that we saw last month, and the townhouses were 368. I sort of put them together because it's just easier. If you were working with a townhouse, I would definitely pull that information out separately. But we have so few. We had 195 closed sales year to date versus 2,129. So it's really less than 10% of the market is townhouses, apartments, condos, that sort of things. And again, we go by median sales price. That's what most economists like to use. Your average sales price is going to be higher because we have those $1 million plus homes there. Another good source of information and statistics. The chart showing Cherokee County showed we're basically flat for property values, and in townhouses or condos, they've actually dropped a little this year. Something to know. We look at rentals. Median asking price on a house is $2,500. It's about $2,300 on a townhouse. Median rental price is $2,300. It's about $2,100 on a townhouse, which means tenants need to earn about $82,000 just to rent a median apartment or a median house with no other debt. So if you have student loans or anything else, it gets much harder to rent a townhouse. I know personally of a young school teacher getting divorced, couple of kids. With her school teacher salary, she cannot afford to rent a house in Cherokee County without getting a roommate, which is the median. So she can either look for a 2-bedroom rather than a 3 or a 4-bedroom. It's tough with 3 kids.
Very sad.
Very tough. So, this is what we need to talk to our politicians about. This is the challenge. So I said we were at Charlotte last week. I'm going to throw a bunch of stats at you. I don't mean to overwhelm you. It's like a fire hose.
It's like where to look.
Yes, I want everybody to get there, going crazy. But what we saw in 1995, we were selling 3.85 million homes. In 2024, we sold 4.06 million homes. The population had grown almost 75 million.
Wow.
Okay, so the single family inventory was 1.5 million in 1995, and it's only 1 million now. And the median annual sales price over the last 30 years has basically doubled from a 241 adjusted for inflation to 407 in 2024.
That's a lot.
What do you think about interest rates? What did you learn about interest rates coming up?
So what I learned was essentially 6% is the new normal. That's what I gathered from everybody, all the talking heads that are way into this more than I am, is that folks need to come to grips with 6%, mid to high 6% is going to be the new normal.
Yep. And did anybody say we were going to drop into the low fives?
No.
It's just not going to happen. And why do we buy houses even with high interest rates, even though if you look here, we're below the average for the last 25 years? It's because our prices went up 66.2% in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
66.2%. So look at this. When you leverage money, if you put 20% down on a $300,000 house and you borrowed $240,000, you put $60,000 down. Mm-hmm. So you put $60,000 down. That $240,000 house over 5 years has gone up 60% in value. The $300,000, $180,000. So it's now worth $480,000. Your $60,000 you put down, you owe $240,000 is now $240,000 in equity.
That's insane.
And that's how people build wealth. And it's something you need to know about buying real estate. Inventory of existing homes. This is, you can see in 2020 it was starting at 1 million and now we're back up to 1,550,000. In July of 2007 we hit an all-time high of 4 million homes on the market. I remember driving in Atlanta when we came here. We first got here at the end of 2006 and we saw 100,000 homes on that billboard of homes for sale. That number was always inflated because they counted both Georgia MLS and FMLS, and some of those were doubled, but not a whole lot of them. It's only where people entered both. Just to get your mind even more freaked out, qualifying income for a median priced home with 20% down.
That's insane to me.
You now need, in Atlanta metro area, you need to make $98,000. Across the nation, you need to make $111,000. This is 20% down with no other debt. So basically, 2 police officers living together, or a police officer married to a nurse, or a nurse married to a school teacher.
Teachers
need to save 20% down, have no other debt just to buy a median home.
That's insane.
In Atlanta. First-time home buyers, because of this, hit an all-time low of 24% in 2024. And the income of home buyers needed to buy, first-time buyers, here's the 97,000 something, and repeat buyers 114,000 is what you needed to get. And this was 2023. Now we're into 2025.
That's crazy. From 21 to 22 and 23, the difference 71,000 to 97.
Right. It's like a whole other job for most of us. But the good news is, look who's buying houses. Married couples in the last 40 years have dropped from 75% to 50%. But I have to say this, women are smart. Single women are smart. They're buying houses. And they, historically, and unfortunately still today in many job sectors, single women don't make as much as single men or married men do. Yeah. And yet they're still buying houses at higher rates. The economists pointed that out and just gave a big clap out to single women and those of you agents that are working with them, because you're doing something really smart. You're building generational wealth as a single woman. Unmarried couples went up from 4 to 12%. Single men went from 9 to 11%. And others, which are mommunes or roommate situation, went from 0 up to about 4%. I know it's a lot of statistics, but it's not enough because I want to throw more at you. Fur babies, Millie. This is my fur baby. She's Millie the Wonder Dog. I've always had big dogs, but I've had this one for 3 years now.
It's Millie Vanilli.
And you know what? 71% of households in the U.S. have pets. And $152 billion are spent on pets. And 16%, 1 out of every 6 home buyers, factor in pets to where they choose to live.
I've had those clients that it's been a perfect house, but the yard was not perfect enough for their dog.
And so why not? Why do people still buy instead of renting? Median net worth of a home buyer, $430,000. A renter, $10,000. 43 times more wealthy if you buy and hold on to real estate or trade up like you're supposed to. Buying and owning real estate.
That would be something I would use in social media. Definitely steal these slides and use them in your social media to educate the general public.
If you want better copies of the slides, you could just go to NAR and look at the statistics, or you could search median net worth of home buyers versus renters in the U.S. and you'll come up with a clean copy of this. Here's something to feel really good about. The total economic impact of buying a home is about $60,000, between the income generated from the real estate industries. So that's the title company, the home warranty companies, the termite inspectors, the home peoples, the real estate commissions, the expenditures related to a home purchase. So people spend money to get into a home, and then the multiplier of housing related expenditures. What happens when somebody goes into a house? They generally spend some money making it theirs.
Yeah.
And then if you buy a new home, it adds another $62,000 of it. So we're averaging between $60,000 and $120,000 for each home that we sell.
The impact, yeah.
And this is why home buying is like a third of the consumer price index when you look at it. And so if you hear some of the smarter economists talking about inflation, they'll pull out the home buying situation because we're not so much subject to inflation. So like the cost of eggs. There is something on realtor.org or NAR.org, the Metro Market Statistics. They do something breaking down the Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Alpharetta. It includes Cherokee County metropolitan area. And I pulled out 5 of the slides of the 8 or 9 that you could get there. Go to https://tinyurl.com, NAR stats, and pull down for Atlanta, and you can get all these reports. Here's one that I like, is if interest rates drop from 7% to 6%, there's 126,000 more households who could afford the median priced home, and then renters that do it. And if 10 of those bought a house, that would be 12,000 additional sales. In Atlanta, when you look at, we're only going to have about 3,600 sales in Cherokee County. If we got another 900 or 1,000 homes, that's like 3 more months of sales, which increases our profitability by 25%. They talk about who's the home buyer. Average home buyer is 43 years old, 113,000 in income. They break down all the age groups, the gender of the groups, married couples. In Georgia, 60%, living alone male, 9%, living alone female, 13%. So we're still doing all this. And we can look at what the monthly payments are and home ownership demographics. There's a lot of good information out there on this site. I just wanted to expose it to you. I know I've blown way too much statistics at you today, and I go blah, 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 fast.
Even Millie's like, oh my God, this is too much.
Millie says, just give me a kiss. Big takeaways from the convention last week. A phrase we heard from a guy, Mr. Harrison from Washington, D.C., I understand how you feel. Let's see what the data says. I need to get $900,000 for our house. I understand. I understand why you feel that way. Let's see what the data says about your value. It makes the data responsible for the value of your house, not what you're saying. It avoids some conflict.
You're not the bad guy.
Here are our best options. And it should be ARE, sorry. Didn't catch that. But here are our best options to get your home sold or to get you in the right house. Here's what's still funny is if you look at the NAR statistic of home buyers and sellers, something like 72% of the home sellers still interview one agent and one agent only before they list their property. I want you to know, Diana and I work different companies. We are different in every way. If I was competing against Diana on a listing, I'd say, look, she's great, but I'm a little bit better. Here's why. And
I would be like, he's amazing, and I love what he does. However, these are the values that I bring to you, and how I'm.
And if you don't pick me, pick her. Yeah. There you go. But you want to be fast and you want to be first.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you want to be fast, meaning staying in touch with clients when they're thinking about buying or selling, and you want to be the first person they call when they're thinking about buying or selling or have real estate information questions. So how do you do that? It's a lot of social media, it's a lot of emails, and it's a lot of follow-up. A lot of follow-up and a lot of face-to-face contact really right now. I've been delving into AI lately and what that's going to do. And what it's not going to do is it's not going to take away the value of personal contact and having that trust and that relationship. One thing I learned is if you put the serial number of an appliance into ChatGPT, it'll give you all sorts of information, the typical repair costs, the lifespan, all that sort of stuff. It was an idea I hadn't really thought about. Lead-based paint disclosures and properly handling are critical. I'm sorry the CAL got cut off by our light bulb. It's critical, especially in the property management arena, because the EPA is coming out and auditing files, both on sales, but primarily property management. And the fines start at $11,000 per
You don't want to
occurrence.
get fined for that.
And if you do, call GAR. We have an attorney that is pretty darn good at negotiating those deals, but it's going to cost you money. You don't want to get involved. If you deal with any homes that were built prior to 1978, make sure you fill out the lead-based paint disclosures correctly. Give them the pamphlet. It's something I wasn't doing before about a year and a half ago. I wasn't giving the pamphlet out a lot. I wasn't attaching it to the contracts. You got to do that. And there's all sorts. If you have questions, if you're in property management, I would definitely join NARPM or get on this National Association of Residential Property Managers, or get on a discussion board, or talk to an experienced property manager about what you need to do to stay in compliance. And
one of my biggest takeaways was 6% is going to be the new normal for interest rates. So make sure, and piggybacking with that is, if you have clients that are waiting for the prices to drop or the interest rate to drop, just know that they are going to be missing out, because that same house, and we've preached this for a few years now, but that same price point and house is not going to be the same next year. So they need to take advantage of the market, because if anything, they're not going to be able to afford that same house next year. Those were my biggest takeaways on top of social media. If you're a realtor who is afraid of social media because you don't like the way that you sound, or you think that you need to be perfect and have the perfect proper camera setup or what have you, just grab your camera, hit record, and put it out there, because you are also missing the mark on reaching that potential client, that potential person who needs to hear your version, your side of the story, your education, all of that. And you may connect with someone that they won't connect with anybody else, and because you're too afraid, get out of your head and just do it.
Right. Well, in fact, the main speaker, Ryan Leake, was Chasing Fear. I think that's the name of his.
Where's the book?
I read it and I gave it away already. Great book. Great book. Easy read. Talks about getting out of your comfort zone and why you should do that, and not be worried about fear at all. I mean, it's today I went to Moe's for lunch.
Welcome, Moe's.
And I said, "You got any specials going on?" And they said, "As a matter of fact, we do. $5.99 if you buy a drink for a burrito bowl. Save me $4.39 because I asked." All they could have done is said, "No, we don't." And so do that. Ask, and don't be afraid of fear, because as long as you learn from it and you don't repeat the same mistakes over and over again, it's going to propel you forward. An excellent book. He was an amazing speaker, a lot of fun. Leak, Ryan Leake. Look him up if you're interested. And as always, if you like what we said, it's all Diana's contribution. If you don't like what we said, email me at mike.stott@mac.com. Some of you may have noticed I shaved off my beard.
I know.
I went. What happened is, after the convention, I went to visit my cousin who lives outside of Myrtle Beach in a little beach town called Southport. And we went to lunch and dinner, and every single one had a white graying beard. And I'm like, I don't want to be like everybody else. So I came home Sunday morning and shaved it off.
I like the beard.
Yeah, well, some people like the beard. Here's what I want you to do. Do I look younger without the beard, or do I look older? Let me know. Mike.stott@mac.com.
Millie, what do you think? Millie's like, she loves you.
Yeah, Millie's my girl. You guys are the best. Have a great month. Go help some people buy and sell real estate.
Bye.